Don't understand why you're 40 years old playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But.
Well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to This Week in Culture. This is we do it. It's a show we do twice a week where we discuss everything that's going on in our cultural space and how those things sort of intersect with our political systems and our media and the way that our kids grow up and everything. So welcome to the show. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy. What's up, John?
Indeed. Hello. Oh, awesome. Awesome as always, and not too much other than just kind of taking in like a whole bunch of activity this weekend on the Discord that gotten started. We're up to over 130 members already, and we're not even a month in. So
sounds
there'll be a link down later, and I'm sure I'll drop links later during the show. But yeah, things are good. No complaints.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So anyway, my name is Brian. I'm here with John, and we're going to be talking about the week in culture. So before we get started, I'm going to ask you guys if you could just hit that like button for us. It helps us reach more people. The YouTube algorithm gods might, give us a minor blessing and allow us to reach more folks that might come across this content. And if you're shocked at the fact that this teenage girl has a man's voice, I don't know what to tell you. So just do some research. I'm not confused about my gender. I know who I am, but I think that this girl's more important than me, and that's why she is taking center stage.
The way I was explaining it last night to a couple people that I was having a conversation with is that I work with an internet meme from Gamergate 1, and I'm an internet meme from Gamergate 2. and there's this weird cross section of just shared history that we kind of have on the periphery edges of the people that are involved with it in weird kind of twisted ways. And so in the multifaceted state of reality, for whatever reason, it actually makes sense that you and I are kind of the people who talk about this stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, I guess it does. Well, anyway, with all that out of the way, again, try not to judge and just listen, because I might say something that you will enjoy. But anyway, let's go ahead and a couple of little announcements. This is going to be my last show for about 2 weeks, so I'm taking a vacation. I'm going on a very long, arduous road trip, leaving Friday morning.
You're doing the dustbin.
Yes, and I'm going to be in Canada for about 6 days. And then I'm driving back. And so it's going to take some time. So there won't be shows until, let me just look at the calendar to confirm. After today, I won't be back until Saturday, the 5th of October. And that's when I'm, for more of these shows. So today, tomorrow. On this channel. Tomorrow and Thursday, I may do a game stream on this channel, but it won't be a Week in Culture show. So if you want to see more #blood, I didn't get a chance to do it last week because I was having some problems with my machine, but I should be able to do it this week. So I'll do more.
So. I love that
game. Yeah, #blood, which is a great game, and the original Space Marine game, which is it's kind of came out a while ago, but it's
kind of Gears of War, but
it's very chef's kiss. I love it. So yeah, check me out on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll probably do that, and hopefully I'll see you all in the stream. So
yeah, and while you're out of country traveling, I will see if I can get anybody to help me kind of keep the slot warm on Problematic White Guy. If anybody out there is interested, hit me in DMs on the Discord or on just my creator channel there on Problematic White Guy, or
Yeah.
even in the Honey Badger Arcade. I live on the Discord, so wherever you put the information, try to get a hold of me. I'll see it.
Yeah, there's a link to the Honey Badger Arcade Discord in the description, and there's a link to yours, but I think it may have expired, so because you need to get a permanent link.
The one I gave you is I gave you last time. If you, I'll give you another one, but they should be
Up to date.
A link that doesn't expire. Yeah, because once I got told how to do it, that's the only thing I give people now for like the last week or so. So
yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah. So there are links to all that stuff in the description. But let us get into the let's get into the story. So first things first. Okay, so this is not actually about Beetlejuice, even though that's the headline. So Beetlejuice is number 1 in the box office. But here's the thing that's really wild. So the Daily Wire, which is a conservative outlet, they have been trying to make content in an effort to shift the culture, or at least create like more space for different perspectives and like look. It ultimately, in my opinion, it does kind of look out for the independent filmmaker and showrunner and stuff. Yeah, more of that. And so they have like their own website, and there's other companies that have done this as well. There's a nice little company called Angel Studios, and they have some very popular stuff out there. There was a film called Sound of Freedom, which was extremely popular, also demonized by the media. So there's lots of people creating stuff, and they're like putting their own spin on it. But the Daily Wire has made a few films. I haven't watched all of them, but of the ones I watched, I thought they were fine, but I didn't think they were especially groundbreaking. But it's good because it gave some people work that probably deserve it. Like if you remember Terror on the Prairie, which was like this, Western kind of scary thriller movie with Gina Carano in it. And, this was shortly after Gina Carano got fired by Disney because, she basically had disagreements with them. And they gave her work, and for that I commend them. This is a good thing.
Right.
And then after that, Matt Walsh, who was one of the main people behind or that worked at the Daily Wire, he made a documentary film called What Is a Woman, which was released on their Daily Wire Plus. I don't think it went to theaters, and I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't learn anything from it because I've been involved with this stuff for a long time. But I liked it regardless, and I'm glad that it was out there, and I'm glad that some people watched it because I think it's important. And Matt Walsh has just done another thing, is called Am I Racist? And this one actually was released in theaters, and I was expecting this to be like shut down across the board. No one would no one would review it. It was going to be essentially shunned and blacklisted like previous attempts, like Lady Ballers, like What Is a Woman, like Terror on the Prairie, Run, Hide, Fight. I think there was the one about a school shooting. I've never seen it, but that was like their first outing. And it turns out that it was in theaters, and it did really well. It was at one point it was number 3 on the box office, which is a crazy achievement. It cracked the top 5
in general, let alone one about racism coming from the Blaze, ostensibly.
The Blaze,
or not the Blaze? Sorry, Daily Wire. Sorry.
Well, yeah, one of no, it's okay. I can see how you can get those two mixed up, but yeah, no, but I mean, he was, making it's a film that asks, I think, important questions. But what I'm surprised to learn about, and again, I haven't seen it myself, is how funny it is. So people are comparing it to Borat, and I think that's like, that's a pretty serious claim to make. So, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it cracked number 3 in the box office, and it even, and this is why I'm mentioning this story here, because it even got the attention of one Jeremy Johns. So if you guys know Jeremy Johns, he is a very popular film reviewer, and generally, a pretty decent guy from what I can tell. and he actually reviewed the film. And normally this would get ignored. So, but he couldn't do it. He was just too interested. And I think it speaks to something about like where the culture is headed. Like there are more people that are asking questions, more people are becoming more open-minded to these things, and I think that's a good thing. So,
well, this Truth Coalition is pretty, it's like, it's weird to kind of say, almost call it like political Avengers to a degree, but, like having RFK and Trump working in tandem, against what is ostensibly a globalist globalist corporatist plot to take over everyone and everything and undermine it through subterfuge of the bureaucracy of the deep state and all this weird policy law and all the other kind of political fuckery that's about, it's an interesting time to actually kind of see what's actually, not the show and tell, but the revelation that's at hand. And if you actually pay attention to what's going on, the stuff that's going on with the current administration and their manipulation of federal entities for indictments and investigations and all sorts of weird kind of crazy stuff that's going on against the other backdrop of what seems to be like a monthly assassination run that thankfully have been unsuccessful, and hopefully this is the last time that we have to like talk about another one of these things between now and ever as it applies to any of this. And that's the concerning thing that we've got to deal with is like we are living in the height of time where it's like it's so much of like an open obvious kind of situation that this is clearly the deep state trying to prevent somebody from actually doing something that's going to be good for the American public and goes beyond I try to tell people, like, because I'm problematic white guy, so I'm kind of off-putting just off of initial biases unless you get to know me, right? And so 10 years ago, I think I mentioned this before, I was pretty ambivalent towards Donald Trump, and I was one of the people that was one of his biggest detractors. But 10 years that he has had the presidency and been put through the ringer, I find far more common ground with him. And I was talking to somebody about it last night saying, and when people sit here and try to say you hate on him for mean tweets and this and that, I don't see that guy. It's not the same guy from 8-10 years ago or anything like that. He's a guy who got shot at twice, in the span of less than 3 months time, span of less than basically 2 months time. And it's like, he has said himself, it's like, yeah, no, I'm a little bit more subdued since I've basically been miraculously saved by God. And he's not, so people want to sit here and harp on something that doesn't even exist. That guy that was I'm not who I was 10 years ago, not who I was 5 years ago. COVID hell world's completely, utterly obliterated the world that we once knew, and we're all different people over the course of the last few years, and the concept of what is even MAGA, it's not some ultra right-wing kind of mind virus conspiracy that to be projected under the haze of
whatever that even means.
Right. It's just regular people who just want to be Americans with a level playing field on equal economy where we can actually, work within our means to be prosperous and actually not be put under or kept from even getting anywhere because we're getting debased by an inflationary system that's predatory.
Yeah,
that's what's going on right now. And it's so obvious after all the overreaches and everything that's happening, what is the backdrop of our reality right now. And it's the craziest damn thing. And that's why I have my Discord server, is because we need to make these parallel economies now. And how does that look? It looks like private Discord servers where you can actually talk to people directly about, creative endeavors or just things that they're doing in their general day-to-day life, because we're human. And we want to be able to actually discern. And this isn't just a local effort. The people that go into making our Discord servers, it's an international, confederation of people that actually give a shit about being able to retain our humanity. And that's the stuff that's at hand right now. And what we're ultimately here talking about in these issues, and so, we have the capacity to actually kind of see ourselves through to the end of this. We are in we are in a new revolution. And just like the last revolution, it comes down to the right to privacy, to speak your mind actually, talk to each other openly. And, one of the people who's on the server, he wrote a game called Children of Liberty about 15, 20 years ago. And he's working on, new projects, things like that. And I was talking to him about it yesterday because he was talking about how, the revolution was created in the Green Dragon, right? A pub in Boston, and he's from Boston. So, I was talking about how, I wanted to make this, this internet cafe lounge space experience where you can kind of come in and be greeted with all these people that are giving out information freely. Like, this is a place where wisdom is dispensed. We're making a library of people that actually have viewpoints, perspectives on the world that we're a part of and what we're dealing with. And, we're all kind of coming from our own angles. And so it's not just people just doing, so as much as they want to sit here and say that we're an echo chamber, there are people on our discords that, just want to be able to actually have legitimate conversations to widen their understanding of where someone else is coming from in a completely different part of the world, and not being beholden to the limitations of these wide scale corporate platforms. Because that's what the cost of living is right now, is being tokenized and becoming a precious gem, and being, cajoled into, safety and fairness doctrines that only allows you to use the words that they say are, permissible on their websites. And if you step outside of those lines, then you're likely to be censored entirely, have your account shut off. And we're only at the beginning stages of them trying to make digital currencies that are centralized and having everything tied to a draconian kind of control state like we see in China, where you're earning merits based on social currency, and so the only way to fight that is to actually use their own technologies against them, which is the whole reason of building this the server system. And my plan is to ultimately decentralize it and give it to other people, so that even if our server gets shut down, it's going to work on your server, it'll work on Tomby's server, it'll work on Leon's server. I'm going to talk to ABF later today. Hopefully I can get it on the GCA server, and we'll just proliferate, make an open source kind of system that exploits the YouTube, bot system. And our bots censor with an S, not with a C. We provide information, we don't hide it. So, that's what we need right now. And I guess I'm kind of taking us on a tangent, so I'll let us actually get back to the thing. But that's,
let's go. I get it. But what? Okay, no, I know that was a lot. But
it was.
I think my central point here is that these attitudes are going into the mainstream. They're entering the zeitgeist. Jeremy John's reviewing this film and liking it. So I'm going to play a little bit of his review, which is why it's on this pause screen here. It tells a lot. So let me just play this bit, okay? Listen.
Job to do. That job, make the audience laugh. And it made me laugh. Sometimes it was a chuckle, sometimes I laughed out loud. But it is at least clever enough or unique enough in its execution in the way Matt Walsh is disguised as an ally with the people he's talking to. It's a calmer execution than the more angry YouTube videos you might have seen on such subject matter. And I thought interesting questions or counterexamples worth asking or presenting were presented. Are these experts with their workshops and their books really trying to heal the world, make it a better place? Or are they perpetuating the problem, keeping it around because they found something to monetize? But all in all, had myself a good time and some good laughs. No alcohol required.
So he enjoyed it, and he got a lot of crap for it, obviously, on Twitter. People are trying to cancel Jeremy Johns, not for even giving it a good review, but for giving it a review at all. Just for even giving it his any oxygen. Okay.
Oh, I know, and that's what I mean. We are in full bore censorship land now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, no, this is not. This has always been the case because, like I said, a lot of people have created content, whether it's on YouTube or music or film or whatever, that has essentially gone against the cathedral, and the cathedral has come out after them if it gets too much attention. Otherwise, it just gets ignored because that's how they operate. They're like, we're just not gonna. And a bunch of people that Matt Walsh exposed, because that's all he did really. And I didn't see the movie, but from what I heard, and I think it's obvious. All he did was let these people talk. He just let the commies talk and then recorded them talking, saying what they believe and then just put that out there. This is even better than Borat, who often took people out of context, and he would like, you know, kind of punch down, like he would go into spaces where there's like hillbillies and stuff, and you know, and get and like try to use that to say
searching for an end goal, not just allowing the situation to present itself. Those weren't really documentaries. They were more kind of prank.
No, they weren't. That's fair. But I think this is also not really that. It's kind of like a fake documentary,
No,
but there's a lot of real.
Saying, like, the Borat ones they tried to say were documentaries, which they clearly just you know, spin.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I hope that Jeremy Johns, because I think, and I watched his review, I thought he was extremely careful about how he worded things. That's why he said some of the stuff he said, like, you know, about like, oh, well, this is like handled better than some people online. But it's funny because when people do this, and this is the lesson I want you guys to take away from this, he's being really careful about not upsetting people. He's walking on eggshells throughout his whole review, and it didn't do a damn thing. Like, they're still trying to destroy him. So this is the thing that you have to understand, okay? How you say something is not going to matter if you're not saying the thing, if you're not towing the line, if you're not basically in complete compliance with what the cathedralites are telling you. So,
and anything you do say will be picked apart word by word so that they can actually disassemble your argument and waste the time based on the words rather than the context of like what you're even saying.
Yes. So it's almost like there's no point. I think it's better to be honest and come across as mean than to lie so that you sound nice. So anyway, shout out to Jeremy Johns for doing that, and shout out to, I guess, the Daily Wire for having a successful movie that was in third place for a while, and I think this week it's in fourth place. And what's funny is the movie after that is another film that's made by a person who's not a part of the system. It's called Reagan, and it stars
I've heard good things about this as well.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid, I think. And Dennis Quaid is a pretty outspoken, like, right-wing guy, libertarian type. And yeah, it's a movie about Ronald Reagan. It's in fifth place. So, like, obviously there's a market for stuff that goes against the grain, you know? So, anyway, with that said, we're going to move on to the next story, but I wanted to share that with you guys. So, something going on here. All right. So now we got some news regarding the Indiana Jones game. I just had to share this. So let me just put this on the screen. So you guys, I keep forgetting that this is even coming out. Before I read it though, let me get some super chats.
Gina Lombardi.
Yeah, we got some cringe coming. So I got a super chat from Albert Data Retro. He gave us two of them. Thank you, Albert. He says $2 per Canadian, or he gives us $2 Canadian and says, to answer the question, yes, I am, and so are you. I don't know what the question was, but thank you. And then he gives us another super chat and for $5 Canadian and says, it's apparently like Borat without the attempted abduction of Pam Anderson. No Baywatch beauties were harmed during the production of Am I Racist? Yeah, I don't think he would get away with that, to be fair. I don't think that would work out.
Right.
All right. So anyway, this is from Bounding into Comics, and it's really unfortunate that these like independent or smaller publications have to like fill their screen with so many ads. There's not much we can do about it. Because they have to like be able to like at least bring in some kind of revenue. So often if you go to like That Park Place, Bounding into Comics, Niche Gamer, they'll have like tons of ads. So I apologize for the ad bombardment, but I don't benefit from that. Anyway, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, that's the name of the game. Producer says new companion Gina Lombardi, quote, serves as an intellectual equal to Indy. And this is a shot from the game. In a tease of the upcoming game that's sure to raise more than a few hackles, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle producer Craig Derrick has revealed that the game's narrative will present Indy's new companion, Gina Lombardi, as the archaeologist's intellectual equal. So I'm not gonna, this is like, I guess she quips at him in a video, but that doesn't matter to me. The overall
right.
Lucasfilm executive producer, whose credits, in addition to Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, also include The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Acolyte television series. Oof, that's a terrible resume. Offered
Right.
this insight into the soon-to-be introduced Lombardi during a general production interview given to his employer's official website. Beginning with a reflection on the game's overall premise, Derek asserted, quote, "For an Indiana Jones adventure to truly shine, it needs a globe-trotting journey with a strong historical element, something grounded in reality yet wrapped in mystique or relevance." With The Great Circle, Todd Howard and the team at Machine Games struck gold by centering the story on a real-world mystery. A number of ancient sites around the world align on a perfect, unbroken circle, yet the reason behind this alignment has eluded people for centuries. Noting that The Great Circle's overall concept blew my mind, the producer then recalled, "The more I learned, the more I was fascinated with the idea. We delved into what kind of MacGuffin could be linked to all these sites, and how each location could be authentically represented within the context of Indy's life," he said. "This process of exploration and discovery fueled the world building of the game from the very beginning, ensuring that each aspect of the story was both true to the character and engaging for the player." So far, all of this sounds pretty good, but
Right, but
wait for the other foot to drop.
Gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember last week when everybody was when they did the reveal of this thing, and they were talking about like maybe it's not last week. It was when we did the Games Con in Germany show,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about it there, and everybody thought, "Oh wow, look, something's like indie, not woke," and I was like, "Just wait, wait, hold the line. We didn't win nothing, and like now we're gonna get to that. So I'll let you continue."
All right. No, it's okay. As the brief interview drew to a close, Derek finally turned to the topic of the aforementioned Lombardi and her role in Jones's upcoming adventure. "Gina is the perfect ally for Indy," explained the producer. "She's endlessly curious, incredibly sharp, and has a personal stake in the journey. She not only challenges..."
Do you think Disney's so callous as to use the name Gina as to get them to throw shade at
I don't know
Gina?
about that. Are they that petty?
Are
Maybe,
they that petty?
but
I mean, are they?
Well,
I think they are.
it's
This is just
possible.
wild speculation. It's wild speculation. I have no idea why
Yeah.
they decided to name this character Gina, but I'm just saying, are they that petty? I think we all know how petty they are.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I don't think they're doing it in this case because this Gina
no.
character.
I know. It's very odd. I just want to.
Yeah.
Silly, but.
Yeah, I don't think so because Gina in this context, this Gina is apparently a girl boss, so that they wouldn't do that. Like if they were gonna throw shade.
No. Like right. I understand, but to throw the shade and get the idea that the name Gina is associated with a girl boss rather than somebody who's actually like a woman who's got a point across to bear for a very valid reason. Dark magic is very strange and esoteric in the way that it's utilized. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I get it. All right. Well, let me finish the quote. So
yeah.
"She is endlessly curious, incredibly sharp, and has a personal stake in the journey. She not only challenges and assists the player, but she also serves as an intellectual equal to Indy, bringing depth to the adventure. Gina adds a personal dimension to the story, making the journey about more than just finding another artifact for a museum," Derek concluded. "I believe players are really going to connect with her and root for her story." So it sounds like it could become a girl boss thing. Yes, and it certainly is. That I think gives me tremendous pause.
Kate Capshaw all over again, like they tried to do in the last one, and now he's just going to constantly be saddled with like a suspicious amount of women every single time they trot him out as a character, until they can just get like one of them to fully supplant him. Jesus, this is ugh.
I know
it's so upfront and just obvious and like desperate. By the way, you've got a couple of super chats.
I read them already, unless I got different ones. Yeah, I read them already.
No. All right. Just make sure.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So anyway, as usual, these people often don't learn, and this is like one of the rules of the woke. They always double down. So maybe that will happen, but I'm probably not going to get it anyway because the way I see it, like once they kill a franchise, it's just better to just stop supporting it and walk away. And that's the only way that they're going to learn is through suffering. So I'm, you know, Indiana Jones is dead. Star Wars is dead. Doctor Who is dead. The MCU is dead. It's all dead. So it's like, why put the energy in,
Right.
you know?
Well,
So-
it's also the whole thing until they actually earn an opportunity for redemption. You can't really even, you know, like if you just start doing it without actually seeing some measure of, you know, it's the whole thing. Like you got to plant seeds to grow. Like if somebody just goes and puts the seeds in the ground, like, hey, I've done the thing. It's like, no, I got to at least kind of see, like, you know, like the seedlings kind of sprout, if not for you to make it all the way to at least one harvest or, you know, a few before I can actually, like, you know, say, oh, your green thumb has changed. Now you can actually grow things rather than destroy things. And yeah, they certainly haven't earned that with everything they've done recently.
Yep. Well, let us know what you guys think about that. Are you looking forward to this Indiana Jones game? Is this thing dead on arrival? I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. All right, now I'm going to hand it off to John because you wanted to talk a little bit about this PlayStation thing that's been teased as well as GTA 6.
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that there's a connection point between, because like of course, we ripped apart the PS5 Pronounced Mercante edition the other day. And I was talking about, you know, what I thought speculatively. I said distinctly, I think this means that, you know, they're probably going to hold off on GTA 6. And there's articles that have come out in recent days since that are effectively saying the same kind of thing, because everybody's kind of just seeing that the sliding date and it being so close to 2026 to begin with, you know, this GTA or not GTA coming out, it probably is to their benefit to just try to tie it into the PS5 Pro edition as a way to try to like say that there is some kind of quote unquote killer app. And so like the definitive edition of GTA 6 for now until 3 years from now when the PS6 comes out, if it, you know, like if they are still making hardware, which I think they probably still will be for a while. But when the PS6 is scheduled to come out, that's when you'll see like exactly what they've done these last rotations where, you know, when, I mean, PS5's been on every console since the PlayStation 3, where it first released on in terms of Sony consoles. And so they're very tied in bed together. It's almost like a, you know, like it's almost like being a second party in Sony's connection to GTA in the contracts they have.
I see.
At least so I know that in the previous titles for Red Dead and in GTA in recent years, like it always kind of leads on PlayStation systems first for a couple months, and then it'll come out staggered on other things. So they say they can optimize, do this and that. And so just kind of reading the room and what we've dealt with before, you know, as we were talking about, this PS5 Pro edition is $700 for the base model. And so tax on it's going to be 10%. And so like if you actually want to have like something with a disk drive, you know, you're now looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $850 because it's $770, right, with tax roughly for the first part, and then you could add on another $80 for the additional disk drive that you're going to need. You're up to $150, you know, to on the cost on what you're putting on that. So, or $850, yeah. And then Strauss Zelnick has been quite adamant that he wants to charge $200 for Grand Theft Auto, and almost seemingly like
How much for GTA?
$200.
$200 for a game?
Yeah, for the full edition.
Right,
Yes.
for the super duper edition that comes with
Yeah.
the,
There'll be other
yeah.
lame versions, but if you actually want, and that's like the whole thing on like this buy-in, if you want to like go into these systems. And the thing about buying into the current, you know, walled-in garden that is Sony is it's just like buying stuff from Amazon now, or getting stuff like on Xbox. Like the big problem everybody had with the recent Xbox system was it had proprietary memory units that you have to like, you know, like, and then they cost an exorbitant amount of price because where else are you going to get them, you know? for the first few years until they can at least start. Somebody can actually figure out how to like make a generic SD card, 3D model thing that works.
Yeah.
And so like, it's now getting to the point where I jokingly said to somebody this week that I might actually get an Xbox Series X and install Linux on it and turn it into a developer platform and use it to run, my Steam library at a very high level and just fill it with a whole bunch of emulators. And the last thing I'd ever use it for is as an Xbox itself. And I just be using it as a dev kit model that I can turn into a computer system. And you don't even have that kind of capability on a PS5 right now. So like when you talk about like these consoles, they kind of go back and forth between what's better and what's worse. And in this current console generation, everybody's trying to seemingly get rid of their disk drives because they want to get everybody on this live service model, or you don't own your games. And if you don't own your games, then you can't pirate games, because nothing like there's no. So it's kind of at that point, it's just like, well, just figure out how to emulate all of your old library if you don't have access to the old hardware itself, or you're just like trying to like keep things, fairly Spartan in terms of, the layout of your home network for entertainment and things like that. And media. That's what I would suggest right now is get yourself a Steam Deck or like a good quality PC build, or find an Xbox Series X that's on sale because nobody really wants to keep their consoles all that much, because what are they good for? And buy it, used or refurbished, or get a new one, I guess, whatever you feel is necessary, and turn that into a Linux system. And because Linux OS for Steam OS is going to be coming out here really soon, and so you'll be able to make something that is, if you have a Steam Deck like I do, maybe make something that works really well with it that you could also use for video editing and other interesting things. Because the graphics processor, when you just think about what an Xbox Series X is as a system, is you can do a lot with it. But when a PS5, not so much. And so like this thing is a walled-in garden. They made their new proprietary audio, Bluetooth. And like if you buy those, that's $200. Like their virtual reality headset is only becoming valuable now because they finally made it to where it works with Windows natively. Because nobody wanted to buy the damn thing. And it's a good piece of hardware if it actually had functionality, but they had to break it out of its own walled-in garden to actually give people a reason to buy it. And that's the thing with all this stuff. The more that you try to lock it down and like make it to where you have to be beholden to situations, like PlayStation didn't get big because it had proprietary setups. It got big because it was the open source system. It broke huge during the PS3 because, during their initial kind of foray into like, kind of putting their foot in their mouth and saying people will do X, Y, and Z, get a job and all this kind of stuff and share and save to get a PS3. They did a mea culpa. They tried to like earn the trust back, and they eventually did. And so like that's the thing is like, just because somebody's fucking up now or at some point doesn't mean that they can't, get right and do better. But there has to be like an actual acknowledgement of, their accountability to it. And I don't think that we're going to get that with Sony anytime soon, unless, this debacle that is the PlayStation Pro and their whole walled-in garden system comes crashing down around them, and we see the game industry completely collapse, like we did similar to the 1980s when it fell on itself the first time. And for the same reasons, games cost too much. Nobody wants this shit. Nobody needs it. We just want performance. You want to give me a game that I can get lost in and be immersed by? Give me a good story. Give me something that's stylized. Don't sit here and try to chase after reality, because reality is full of bullshit. And the more that you make it like reality, the more that you're trying to turn everything into a chore-based kind of, like just experience of I got off work and I went home and I did my job for Rockstar. I don't want that. I don't want to play a game where I have to put gas in the car, make sure the tires are fucking rotated every like 13,000 miles. I want to make at some point in time, I'm going to make a parody of GTA and call it CPA, because that's what the online mode turned into. Is you're just a certified public accountant and like you're a realtor. And like the whole game is just about like, going to your different properties and like getting your payments. It's just so lame and gay now. But anyway, that's kind of like the transition of what is to GTA 5, is and what it's going to become. And I don't think anybody should really expect anything good for where where we're at with it. And then, like I say, in the next 3 to 4 years, when they actually get around to supposedly doing the GTA 6, then you're going to see the whole thing just repeat itself one more time. And so now what? You're going to spend $400 or $500 on a copy of GTA 6 over the course of the next 5 years? Fuck that. It's not that good of a game. And Laszlo doesn't even work there anymore. You know, like all the people that made the game that we loved left over the course of the last 10, 15 years. The people that are there are broken and beholden to Me Too politics and all this other fuckery. And a whole bunch of DEI taxes that have to be paid.
Yeah.
You know? And to ignore that is to just be foolhardy and like, you know, like huffing the copium, because every indication as to what Rockstar's been doing shows you exactly what's happening. They have a game online that's about, you know, drug running and, you know, car theft. The name of the game is Grand Theft Auto, you know, and like, you know, crime, killing people, all this kind of stuff. And you can't talk about these things. You can't talk about drug use. And then like when you're drug dealing in a virtual reality game where you actually have a drug business, but you can't like make drug references or they'll, you know, like boot you from the server and shit like that. It's like, you know, it makes as much sense as the person on Twitch this week who like got told that they were concerned about, and so they were suspending their account because they didn't want like somebody depressed on their network, basically.
Yeah.
How's that help? What are you doing? You're just silencing, and you're just trying to stifle dissent and just make it look like, you know, everything's pristine and perfect. And it's like you see these people who use politeness and kindness to mask their, you know, treachery. They're far worse than anybody who says anything mean. I'd much rather read mean tweets or know that somebody thinks I'm an asshole if they're actually at least honest with me and I know where I stand with them. You know, anything else is just, you know, like some kind of bullshit tinker tape confetti parade where you're going to get fucked over in the long term. But I've been, I'll let you say something.
We're rambling again? Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. We could let's just try to be a little bit concise, but yeah, I get it. So, anyway, PS6 already looks like it's on the horizon. I don't know, not interested. I mean, unless again, like you said, there's like some kind of repentance for you know what's happened and like some of the missteps. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm just going to move on. So. But anyway, and like I said, I agree with Grums when he originally put out this plan to be like, don't buy any AAA games, no matter what, for 2 years, and they will, and the market will correct itself. And I think that that has been happening. I mean, I think that like a lot of these, you know, like I have a thing about Assassin's Creed Shadows a little bit later, but Ubisoft is going to be like the first serious casualty of this culture war, essentially. But let's see. Let's go on to the next story. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I wanted to share some cringe. I meant to do this like the last show and I forgot in the show before and I forgot, but we're going to look at this now. Yeah. So this is a clip. What were you going to say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. Just like, you know, sometimes you just run out of time. So, but this is a clip from Dustborn. And if you haven't seen this is just like 1 minute long, one tiny clip from Dustborn, which is still available for purchase. It's not Concord. Concord is gone, but it's still around. People still play this game, okay? So I'm going to play this for you.
They're definitely contributing to the whole folk horror vibe.
Do not speak ill of Junior Justice. They're adorable.
This place looks like something from a Western movie.
What do you mean by a Western movie?
As in not Asian or African or South American?
Western movie. As in a Western. You know, with cowboys, Indians.
Hey, I'm the Indian here. You mean indigenous peoples.
I think American Indians is acceptable.
Sure, if you want to propagate a myth created by genocidal imperialists.
Fair.
All I meant was that fort looks like something from She Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
She wore what?
Who's wearing a yellow ribbon?
What's a fort?
Never mind.
Who's this gay lesbian witch chanting?
Say
in the
what you
background?
want about this creepy place. My vitiligo appreciates the
The
gloomy
power
skies.
of one.
For the first time in years, I don't have to run for shade.
The power of misandry. Jesus Christ.
They're definitely contributing to the whole...
Anyway,
Yeah, that's ugh. That's exactly what we
So,
thought it would be.
did you guys get educated? People are like, make it stop.
God,
That
right?
was, yeah, no, I know. And like, imagine you do that for however long the game is. You got people constantly
8 hours.
reminding you that they're, that we have to call Indians indigenous people and vitiligo and like lesbianism and everything else. It's just like none of
Hey,
these
Brian,
people, you don't want to be friends with any of these people.
Where
What were you
were
gonna say?
you born? Were you born in America?
I was.
Wow,
Yes.
I was born in America. Guess what? We're Native
That-
Americans.
Yeah, we are Native Americans.
We're indigenous.
We are. Yes. My family's from Puerto Rico, but I was born here. So
Right. Well,
I don't know. I hate that they even make me think about this stuff,
It's-
like just to even have, that's why I just scoff. Just point and laugh, guys. Point and laugh. New Gitmo meta unlocked, Dean Domino says. Yeah.
indeed.
Anyway, Marin Ribarik says, wait, the Vitiligo cow is a Muslim Indian? Yeah. I don't know about Muslim, but I know she's an Indian with vitiligo. Maybe non-binary?
Well,
No,
I
the
would
other one is
imagine-
non-binary.
Yeah, there's got to be at least one Muslim in there.
Oh, for sure. There is. There is. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
'Cause,
Speaking
like,
of Muslims.
the white dude, he's the Christian, and everybody else is like like anything but, and he's the guy that
Yeah.
you torment and whatnot. He's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
soy boy.
So it seems to me that, now that I think about it, the theme of this show seems to have been, is the woke losing? Are normal people, I'm not going to call them right wing or conservative. I think that's like a supercharged word. I'm talking about normal people, okay? Are they starting to like, is that sort of like anti-woke consciousness like rising? Are people starting to
I would
wake
say
up
so.
to this stuff? I think so too, 100%. But I'm going to show, I'm going to show like some examples. I'm not saying the woke is losing, but I'm saying that their influence is
Getting forced to
wavering.
desperation.
Well, yeah, because like games are failing, movies are flopping. We know that's happening,
Mhm.
right? Stock is
Yeah.
dropping in some of these companies. It doesn't mean that the battle's over. It doesn't mean we should rest on our laurels, but like there is definitely an impact. And most importantly, like I said, normal people are like starting to say, you know what? I'm not, I'm going to go watch Matt Walsh's movie because I'm sick and tired of this race hustling. And so they go watch it because that's what it is. What we're fighting against are actual grifters. Okay. Like, I have said this for a while, but I think the word grifter is incorrectly used by the left, the wokies, because they believe that when, websites like That Park Place, Bounding into Comics, Fandom Pulse, when they like post articles talking about stuff happening in the culture and they make it into a job of some kind, that's why there's so many ads on their websites. The left will say that they're just grifters, but like, no, that's not, like, if you really wanted to, no, if you really, well, yeah, it is, but if you really wanted to grift, then you would just toe the line. Like, that's how you make the real money. Like, you basically say, I'm a feminist now, and here's my feminist channel, millions of dollars. Like, freaking Planned Parenthood and the Biden administration and like the Hillary Clinton Foundation, they'll throw money at you if you toe their line, if you speak their language.
They have the grants that you can apply for are specifically for these kinds of situations, but there's no like, white guy consulting firm grants.
No, of course not. I mean, yeah, that's the grift. Like, first you basically make up a problem. You use a kernel of truth to tell a really big lie, and then you just start like offering your services. It's like you're like a snake oil salesman, but you're selling, essentially you're selling moral
by lampshade, or lampshade by gaslight.
You're selling essentially moral superiority. And then that's what you give people, and they eat that up because we live in a time where there's no people lack humility to be like, oh, I don't know everything there is to know about this thing. Instead, they're like,
Right.
oh, well, the experts have said this, so I'm just going to follow them. And that's the definition of midwittery. And I think that real grifters are the ones that are, in fact, in the mainstream. They're the ones that get the awards. They're the ones that get the accolades. They're the ones that get paid because they have the correct opinions according to the cathedral, not the people who are actually like questioning them.
Yeah, the ones that worship not educating themselves and would call you a conspiracy theorist if you suggested that maybe you just go and do some research. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So
it's insane.
I think that is changing. And I want to, but I have this other thing. This is sort of the inverse of that. So this is my friend David Jaffe. I'm a little bit tongue-in-cheek when I say that, but David Jaffe is the game developer, and he is now a streamer, and he makes videos about the gaming industry, and he worked on the original.
Woke.
Oh, he's pretty woke. He doesn't, and he worked on God of War and worked on Twisted Metal, which were like really great games. And the funny thing is that he built his career on the thing that he now takes a problem. Yeah, that like he doesn't realize it, I suppose, that like the thing that he built appealed to the audience that now like the cathedral is against, you know, like again, you know, death race is essentially what Twisted Metal is. And yes, we know that he turned in his balls a while ago. Yeah, I know. He's been like this for a long time. Dude, I interviewed him in 2014, and he called us all like sexists or something, even though like half the people on the panel were also women. It's not like, this isn't a surprise twist, but I want to show you this video because he made a video called "Is the Video Game Culture War Over?" And what I think that is the takeaway is not whether or not he's right about this, because that's irrelevant, but whether or not like he is actually like what it is that he knows. Because I think that one of the problems we're having with this, or one of the challenges of being involved in the culture war, is that there are people who believe themselves to be in it and they don't know what's going on. They just take a side, and it's usually the people on the woke side. So I'm not gonna lie, it's mostly the people on the woke side. They simply take a side and they believe it's just the morally right thing to do, and that anyone who opposes them is clearly not moral because they're on the moral side. So if you're against that, you must be the not moral side. You must be the bad guys, right? And they don't actually know what it is the other side is talking about. They're not aware. So they're like only hearing they're only hearing their side and their side's interpretation of the other side.
They can hear, but they won't listen.
Yes. So I'm going to play a little bit of Jaffe's video about this, and hopefully he won't ding me. I have spoken to him in the past. But yeah, we'll see. So I got some time codes here.
I've been seeing a couple of stories about various video games that I wanted to talk about because you guys know I'm a super progressive lefty guy. I love.
Can we pause for just a second? I just want to say something.
Yeah.
All right. So like the most interesting thing about progressivism is the only thing that it's actually progressed in all this time is they took fascism to multicultural fascism, which is quite an impressive feat, to say the least. Because it's all based on tokenization and like, you know, having Sambos that'll sing and dance and shuck and jive for their corporate fascist masters and be like, you know, these shining examples of tokenized precious gems. And that's all that progressivism has even accomplished in a decade, is just making people, you know, polite, kind, you know, even-keeled fascists that try to like explain to you through ethnically beige polite women why you should just give up all your rights and, you know, privileges and all this kind of what the hell ever, and just, you know, let them roll you over. It's the craziest thing. But, you know, like I say, it's just that's my thoughts when I think of what is progressive and what does it even mean. It means it's progressive bullshit and, you know, multicultural fascism.
Multicultural fascism is basically global homo communism. So same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, exactly. But the thing is, if I told Jaffe that, he would say, I don't think that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, he has no idea what it is he's actually supporting. And it's so sinister because but anyway, look, I want to listen to the rest of this. So he's telling us, oh, look, I'm a progressive lefty guy and I think it's great. So this is him saying what I believe
is what he's saying.
Yeah, but what he's saying is what I believe is the correct way to think. That's what it is, right? He's
moral
certain that he's just the moral guy. He's just the good guy.
Came out of
I have an imperative here.
A rage and a remaining unfairness. But I love that whether you're talking about Colin Kaepernick or you're talking about the George Floyd tragedy or a lot of the LGBT stuff that was that group of people being disrespected at best, harmed, killed at worst. The rage led to the change, and I think that's wonderful. But I think
people get killed by these trans gunsmen.
No, that's he doesn't see. That's another thing. He probably doesn't even know that that's happening. Or,
right? But all the recent serial killer or not mass murderers, not serial killer, mass murderers in recent years have generally been trans people.
Yeah, I know, but again, like
I know
these people are in a bubble. He has no idea. Like if because look it. This is the definition of a midwit. Okay, I don't think that David Jaffe is dumb. I think that he's his problem is
moron. He knows so much from
he's
his education,
educated.
He never has
Yes,
to learn anything.
But his mistake is that he trusts the experts. He trusts authorities. He trusts the education system. He trusts the media to some degree, even though the media did him dirty back in the day. And he had a problem with it, but for whatever reason, that's been memory hold. And now he's like
in their good graces because he feels like he was irrelevant for a number of years, and this is his only vestige of clinging to any kind of system of relevance.
Right. So when even if he read about like the Tennessee mass shooting, he'll just read whatever the sources he normally goes to, however they frame it, they'll just be like, shooting happened or what about the
and they'll omit the important details. That's what I'm saying. Like he'll go,
and he'll just say, well, I mean, this must be about guns, and that becomes like that's the takeaway. So anyway, I wanted to, so he's basically making these kind of wild claims, right? That like the rage is okay. Now I don't want to get into the fact that the George Floyd thing was based on a lie and that it ended in the destruction of cities across the country that will never recover in our lifetime, including my home city of Chicago, and how much that upsets me that people are still excusing that, because when you say, oh, well, it shouldn't have happened. That's like saying, I bombed your city because some of the people who worked there were mean to me, and you had it coming. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have you shouldn't have made me do that. It's like you're making me hurt you. It's like, no, this is ridiculous.
Well, the weirdest damn thing about it too is we were already attacked economically by the
COVID,
the COVID hell world economy that they created with the CARES Act and all that kind of stuff. And the few remaining small businesses, and on the Pacific Northwest region and other areas that got highly affected by these, burn everything down riots and whatnot. It was the destruction of small businesses, which in and of itself is kind of like, what the fuck are you even doing if like your whole rage is against the quote unquote machine, and all you're doing is destroying people's livelihoods, so that it's easier for these large-scale corporate entities to come in and overtake what used to be at least somewhat of a local market system where you might actually keep some of the money in your own economy instead of going to a multinational corporation that is, affecting all the things by fuckery and degrees.
But anyway, so he sets the stage. I'm a good person. I believe that Colin Kaepernick kneeling was like a magical moment, even though he literally wasn't even a good football player, and he basically like got shit tons of money through various sponsorships, and also he shits on his own fucking parents. He's garbage. Okay, these are not good people. They identify as good people, but like we all know, just because you identify as something doesn't mean you are something. What you are is what you do. So anyway, I'm going to jump ahead to the next time code. So basically what he does is he talks a little bit about Bethesda's Starfield. fucking pronouns. And he says that they're releasing a
Happy
new
anniversary.
expansion. Yeah, they're releasing a new expansion, and when he shows the gameplay of it, guess what? It's just gameplay. No pronouns. No people saying, "Oh, would you please let's talk. Let's have a conversation about systemic racism."
About my
you know,
or talk about how I'm a clone from like a dude's DNA,
I just
and,
wanted to live as a woman, and like that. It's just gameplay, and it's like some kind of horror plot that they're adding in. And so he's trying to find a way to make that fit into his progressive value system. The fact that Starfield, the people at Bethesda, it's probably too late for them, let's be honest, because we'll look at the numbers for Starfield later. They're like, oh shit, they didn't like our sermon packaged as a video game. How about we add some video game to this video game? And so they're trying to do that. It's like they're trying to backtrack.
Always said, or a lot of us in this chat have always said, grabbing the culture and saying enough. I'm a fan. I think it happens at times. It happened in the 60s. It's important. But as we've always said, and we've talked about it on this show,
I would challenge whether or not what happened in the 60s was good. I don't think it was. I think we're still feeling the effects of that, but it's a conversation for another time.
That end of the day, the money is really what drives these companies. They're companies. Regardless what the Supreme Court will tell you, they're not people, and the companies, and they go where the money is. And so we're seeing that now, right? And I want to show you, I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but if you're excited about...
All right, I'm not going to play this part. He shows some of the gameplay from this new Starfield. All I will tell you is that it legit looks like gameplay from an actual video game that involves action and shooting and stuff. Yeah, I don't
where the money is after this guy is completely oblivious to like recent history. Bud Light, debacle,
I don't think
like, all the...
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. I disagree. Yeah, I don't think this is true. But it's such an easy thing for liberals to fall back on. It'd be like, oh, it's capitalism. That's all. And it's like, no, obviously it's not. Like I've had this, but many times I have to shake people. It's like, if you wanted to make money, you would give people what they want, but they don't do that. Right. They want to create markets. They want to convince you that, oh, actually, no, you don't want the thing that you think you want. You want this other thing with the trans non-binary Muslim, woman in a wheelchair character. That's what you want because representation is good. Are you a decent human being? Well, if you're not a decent human being, I guess you can go with the actual fun fucking product. But instead, no, we're going to give you this. That has nothing to do with the desire to make profits. It's just not like, and I get it. This is what these people always fall back. Oh, it's greed. No, it's not. It's just...
Well, the hilarious thing about their argument is that they sit here and they make all these complaints about corporations, and then they want to hand over all the control to corporations and the state. Yeah. And it's like, dude, you're sitting here complaining about how corporations and the state are doing all their fuckery together. You're complaining about ostensibly a uniparty if you actually took the time to open your goddamn eyes rather than sit here and say, oh, it's all that fucking other political party's ideology. No, it's corporate fuckery and everyone and everything. So, learn some discernment, actually get your ass off of your head and of your eyes by pulling your head out of it and actually take time to account for the fact that there's a far more sticky wicket to the human condition that we should actually be considerate to rather than just trying to say, oh, because my virtue is this. I have a lot of things that I espouse and believe, but I don't belabor other people that they have to go along with it,
Right. Well,
go on about it.
This is the ultimate issue is that Jaffe is falling back on programming. This is what I mean by midwits. Mm-hmm. They have talking points that have been drilled into their head and they fall back on them all the time. So whenever
he is an NPC.
Yeah, whenever any business, it doesn't have to be a corporation, any business decides to give customers what they want, or they switch the game up to they're like, oh, we've made an error, let's course correct, and they start getting what they want, then his programming is, oh, well, that's just is capitalism is the problem. And so this is it's not really worth refuting because what the issue is not about whether or not like, you know, property rights matter or whether or not corporations are greedy or any of that. It has nothing to do with that. He is essentially saying, I am a liberal. Okay.
Yeah.
That
And
means
that makes me special.
that makes me, yes, that means that I have moral
I'm
clarity
vegan plus.
on every issue and I know the good things. And if you don't agree with my positions, then clearly you are not a good person. Like, this is the framework. This is the paradigm that exists. It's like
The self-hypnosis. that
yeah,
takes
like
place.
more tolerance is always good, no question, right?
Mhm.
And obviously
Right, right.
the framing is that if you don't agree with
Politeness
that,
and
then
kindness are the most important things that you can do, not rather
Yeah.
than actually talk to someone
it's
directly
the
about
highest
anything. You
the
just
highest good
Yeah.
is putting up with
Yeah.
shit. And not only that, but there's another thing they miss is that, like he said, what is it about LGBT that people are like you be rude to them at best and murdered at worst? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, like,
Right.
these things happen, but like when you frame it that way, like, you know who is the most in danger of being like assaulted? It's just men. It's men.
Men.
But like, if I
Men.
told him
Yeah,
that,
the
he would be
recent
like,
studies, that's
well,
exactly what it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, 1 in 4 women. Like, there are these, like I said, it's this programming. You just fall back on it, and it makes you feel good because it makes you feel like you're a good person, and that means that you're better than other people who would disagree, so that you get to lord over them whenever you want. And this is like the problem with this mindset.
Right. It wasn't it was back in the 90s when they first started making the regulations about, like, you know, what you can and can't do to a woman in film. And like, you know, and a lot of it became like, you know, you can gruesomely like disembowel a man and like disarm him and like, you know, like still be able to get an R rating, but if you strike a woman, like your shit's like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
unless it's like some Oscar bait, and that's like the whole point of like the scene is so that you can say, you know, oh man, bad. You know.
Yeah. Thank you, Zella Druid, for subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna be adding like more stuff to this as it goes on, but I haven't had time. It's just been crazy. But let me play the next clip. Here now,
travel, so
and have things to express, but we have to remember we are making entertainment, and the best entertainment, in my opinion, and I think the industry, not just games, but movies, books, TV, bears this out. The best entertainment is where 90 to 95% of it is entertainment. And then there's kind of a little bit of a heart in there that you got to kind of look for.
A heart, as in other words, I shit in the punch bowl.
Of it. I think we're seeing a shift overall, right? This is coming.
I just have to put a little bit of my ideology in there at the front and center of everything to lead every fucking decision. And, you know, and that's okay. It's just a little bit, but it's the little bit that's called the engineer of your destruction of what you actually came for and what you were actually interested in. You're not getting that. You wanted Kratos? Well, here's Kratos as a middle-aged dad. Enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I guess that's close as we're going to get to like a dad who's not a complete bad dad character. But even still, it's just kind of like the whole point of it is to like, you know, have him lament like his past and this and that. I'm full of flaws and frailties, and my name, you know, like I just am. But I account for my past. It helps me make a better person for the future. And I'm not running from my past. I appreciate the flaws and like all the fucked up shit that I was a part of because it helps me kind of have discernment about moving forward. And I can actually talk to people about like, don't be like me, kids. I'm a cautionary tale. You know, like I'm not trying to be a hero or a villain. I'm just trying to be honest. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what we need more of.
I will say that part is not wrong. So like the idea that like most of the entertainment should just be entertainment, and then you have like a heart to it, like some kind of, you know, message.
Right. And I agree with that too, the broad sense, but like it's what that heart is. It's a heart of darkness that they put in there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the issue.
I think that this is the thing. Okay. I think that he would probably say that in order for something to have heart, it would have to have a progressive message. But I think that in the plainest of terms, having something with a, you know, like some
passion,
I don't know,
pathos and
pathos, exactly. Like if it has pathos in it, like Spider-Man, for example. Like if you're just telling the original 2002 Tobey Maguire, like that one was good. It was a Spider-Man story, and it had an emotional and good story that ran through that had heart to it, and it was all about with great power, all that, right? But the issue is that that's not actually what woke games do. Number one, they do. It's all about the messaging that takes front and center, which is why Starfield shipped with a bloody mess, but it had pronouns in it. So like when you have a product that is primarily fostered by progressives, is that they put their message as a higher priority than everything else.
And you can only sell it too because it's all branded like a fucking NASCAR. Like as much as they want to sit here and talk about rednecks, it's like, dude, you have redneck politics. Everything you do is owned by a fucking corporation.
Yeah.
Or some kind of like non-profit organization that's got some scumbag fucking label attachment to it. That's really just an umbrella corporation or a think tank for like the WF or the United Nations.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is there's a mixture of, this, woke underdog attitude coupled with the complete opposite of that, which is essentially a midwit appealing to authority. Like, oh, well, all of my friends and all these corporations and all these politicians and all of these media figures, they all agree with me, so I must be right. But I'm also the underdog.
Just because some umbrella corporation goes and funds, some ethnically beige, woke white women of color and helps them get their, business off the ground doesn't mean that it's not like they're platforming independence. And like, so it's a false independence. They're trying to break into AAA because they know that what we're doing is we're sitting here saying, hey, I want to support independent games. And so they know that they're losing the battlefront for like their quadruple A, that stupid fucking marketing phrase they tried to say, oh, well, games are quadruple A now. You shut the fuck up with your goddamn marketing insanity. Like, just make a good game and not even care about what you're labeling it as. Because telling me that it's quadruple A makes me say that's highly sus. I've never heard of such a thing. So why are you doing that? And especially when it's coming from the marketing department, not like the gamers who are like, trying to laud it with praise after it's already been out. All this stuff is just, completely just astroturfing and superficial, and none of it means anything. It's all just virtue signal insanity.
Yeah. Let me play more of Jaffe's video.
It's about movies, but it applies, and I'll get you back for some games. Star Wars has been...
Oh yeah, so he reads this article. I'm not going to go through this, but I'll just go to the next part. Donald Glover, who is, I guess he's doing another Han Solo movie. Again, I don't care. It's dead. I'm not going to watch it. But he did say something that I guess Jaffe liked, which is essentially like, I think that Star Wars should be fun. I think we take it too seriously and, and that kind of thing, right? And he also said that we should move away from the Skywalker saga. But again, like I'm sorry, but I couldn't.
It has moved away from Skywalker. It's a Palpatine saga. The whole story's about like like a grandpa and his granddaughter that he's like going to groom via like like the spiritual switchboard, and he possesses her at the end, and he tells everybody, "Hey, I'm Rey Skywalker because I'm actually Sheev Palpatine in drag." It's a transhumanist message.
Yeah. Well, they still think it's the Skywalker saga, so and that's what they're saying. But let's go to the end bit here, because he essentially was using that to say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take things so seriously. Maybe we should be, have a little bit more levity in the content. And it's like, yeah, sure, but the problem is that progressives don't really have a sense of humor, so they can't really be light, unless of course they're shitting on people who they disagree with and sort of like de-unpersoning them. But let's get to this is like sort of like his conclusion, so I'm gonna play this.
Doesn't get lost in the fact that you're going to have a lot of people responding to this stuff going, see, go woke, go broke. Don't put anything in there. Don't acknowledge anything other than white, straight men and women or damsels in distress. And I don't think that's going to happen, but I think the grifters are going to champion these stories as that is what is happening. And I don't think that's the case, but I could.
The grifters.
All right. So, yeah.
Fucking just let me just take this off of aisle 7 and I'll just put it in my cart here. and just like, look for the next buzzword that I can lean to so that I don't actually have to deal with anything that's happening in reality right now.
Again, yeah, I mean,
Insanity.
like he had this article up from That Park Place. This is what he was talking about. And I do want to go into this because I think this is absolutely crucial. I know that he's not thrilled with it, but the truth is, even developers are starting to be more vocal about like what they want. Now, I already mentioned to you guys the Forever Winter. They're going to be doing I think they're going to be doing like an alpha or beta test like this month, later this month, September 21st or something. I'm not going to be, around to check it out. But if you're curious, you should. I think it's like $27 to buy the game because they want people to try it. So they've made it very affordable and they're very active. But that's an aside. My point is the developers of the Forever Winter and others are starting to sort of like speak out, and I mentioned on the last show that there were, or maybe it wasn't the last show, it might have been somewhere else, that there were people who make YouTube videos where they review games and they normally don't at all involve themselves in politics, probably mostly out of ignorance and anything else. So I'm not like, throwing shade or anything like that. But when they've been playing this game, Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, and Helldivers 2, when it was like at its peak, they were saying, there's something about this that I'm getting out of this that I'm not seeing anywhere else. And it's essentially a masculine experience. And that's what they're appreciating about it. Okay. And so, Jaffe can't deny this is the thing about him. I think that he's experiencing some cognitive dissonance. I watched the whole video. I didn't want to play it all for you guys, but this is the pattern I've seen. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be able to get into games that are like Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, these kind of hyper masculine games that, where guys are just like, talking with like super guttural voices and they're blowing away aliens and there is no like sob story about how one guy's like feelings and like his roommate, they had like an affair and like, like none of that shit is like it's just the next mission. That's basically what this game is. What's the next mission? We're gonna do the next mission. And it's all like, totally badass talk. And I know he wants that. I mean, I know that because I've seen the games he made when he had the freedom to do it. But he's trying to make that fit into a paradigm where all of that is considered problematic. And so what he's trying to do is have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to say, well, I don't want to murder the gays, unlike the conservatives. Like he makes these ridiculous claims. What did he say? Like he wants we want every game to have a straight white male in it. And it's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like you don't know what our actual problems are. Like, that's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter because, again, he's not going to listen. So, I think that he's experiencing, like I said, some cognitive dissonance. It's like, how is it possible that this is a game I like and also the people I dislike like it? It must be because I have, like, more sophisticated taste than they do. Therefore, I'm going to make this about something else, right? And it's like, no, you're not. You don't understand because you think that we're the enemy. And instead, we're trying to save this industry because your side of people are destroying it all and they're doing it on purpose. Like that's another thing. Like they're burning it down on purpose and you're not you don't see it because I don't hate women. Like that's the first thing out of his mouth. I don't have a problem with women. Well, yeah, good congratulations. Like what are you talking about?
Bullshit, he doesn't have a problem with women. If he didn't have a problem with women, he wouldn't be a male feminist. Because the male feminists believe that, they believe women need the men there to help them get their shit across. It's like, well, then you don't really believe in feminism.
Yeah.
Like part of it's kind of like what, Morgan Freeman says, don't call me a black man, like just call me a man. And so like feminism, like, like we're really about like actually equality. It wouldn't be about all this like, like posturing bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's what you get with all this stuff. And that's what they reveal in how they go about doing it. Cause they could say all this stuff about like, this is what's important to me. It's like, well, if it was important to you, then you'd actually be doing that, but you're doing anything but that. you're investing in like all these things that prevent you from actually even confronting the actual issue that's in front of you, because you're just going along with all this programming and just making sure that you're hitting your reinforcement buttons so that you never get out of the paradigm of the hypnosis.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that I see here. Somebody who's just committing themselves to, you know, their religion, not their good faith, because that's the thing, is they enter into these arguments fully, as you're saying, there is no good faith. They're not trying to have a conversation. They are trying to deliver, like, this is what you
they're
know,
trying,
like
they want to, like I said, they just want
they want you, yeah,
moral
well, they want
superiority.
you and I to immediately submit and understand that, right, that we are somehow, like, you know, like in the wrong, and we need to learn to be dogmatic, and we need to drink Kool-Aid, which is so hilarious because I'll sit here and deride, you know, forms of religion and, like, you know, traditionalism and all this kind of stuff, when they themselves are falling into these dictates and norms based on their ideological, you know, posturing. And so it's like, how is it, you know, but it is one of those things where it's just kind of like, you know, it's like like I said, you know, before, like, I had an ex-wife who, she would just go into situations looking for what was wrong, and it didn't matter how much was right, and like how much I was trying, you know, like anything that I was doing to try to actually affect the situation positively. If you go in with the intention that you're going to find the problem, and the problem obviously exists on the other side, then you're not in any way, shape, or form and in good faith in your effort, and you're more than likely just going in looking to project what your bias that's leading you is already telling you when you're going into the situation, because that's the whole reason why you're going in, because you just want to attack. And that's what this is. You know, he's the fucking grifter. Because it's like, why don't you just tell me about what's good in your life, David? What are you working on? What's interesting? You know? What do you like?
Well, I mean, I think that
shit I've been hearing for 10 years.
I think that this is what I'm ultimately landing on, is that what he likes is the same thing that we like. He just doesn't know how to make sense of the fact that we both, no. He doesn't understand how it's possible that people as awful as us could like the same things that he likes without him being just as awful. That's what so he's essentially, his problem is that he can't tell that the people he thinks he's caping for actually hate him. Hate him for just who he is. So so instead he's like trying to, like, hey, I'm
allies are all like,
yeah. Instead he's just like, I'm a good person. I like women, and
I'm a male feminist.
I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. He even said, this is another thing he says in the video that I forgot to mention real quick. He talks about how you know, the grifters, the people who are all championing, you know, get woke, go broke, they are Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, and of course racist, sexist, etc. And I thought it was really interesting because, number one, and I'm for me, this is just a little bit of a personal thing, okay? So he's just pointing out this thing that I've always noticed, okay? If you don't like the Jews, you're anti-Semitic. If you don't like Muslims, you're Islamophobic. Right. But if you don't like Christians, you're just a decent human being. Because there's no such thing as Christianophobic. Okay, there's no such thing as that. And you know what? There shouldn't be. I don't think that any of those things should exist. But it's funny because he's an atheist. Okay, he's an atheist that only has a problem with Christians. as most of these, like, woke, cringe atheists often are. I mean, there are also some
cringe atheists.
Yeah, there are also some,
you know,
that are like, you know, that they will also criticize Islam, but like those guys are considered courageous for that. But it's not common. Mostly, it's just like, you know, a problem with Christians.
It's yeah, and it's hilarious too, because like I spent a good chunk of you know, like some of my formative experience trying to do all that I could to refute you know, like the living word and how we live in a time of miraculous events and all this kind of stuff. And then, like, my life is just kind of unfolded in front of me, and the revelation has been right at hand, quite literally, in my experience. Yeah. To where you're just like, oh, I could sit here and I could try to deny all this stuff, you know, but like, you know, to what what in would that do other than like, you know, just make me more of the black sheep prodigal son kind of thing that the shepherd has to spend more time trying to work over. And I've already been humbled enough to kind of like, you know, get my point that I just need to like try to deal with good faith and good values of, you know, taking care of myself and my fellow man in a way that has some actual reciprocity and symbiotics to it. This is not that. For as much as they want to sit here and talk about like, you know, they have the moral imperative and like, you know, like, oh, well, these people just think that, you know, like because they have like a religion that makes them somehow good. It's like, dude, you're the one who's caught in your zealotry. You believe in vaccine culture and like all this fucking like federalism and corporatism and yet you want to decry about it, but you don't ever actually want to like, you know, hold those that you're decrying accountable. Instead, you want to like, you know, say it's the people that are at the same level I am that are different than me that are getting affected in the same way, but on the other side of the coin, well, it's them. That makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah. I got a super chat from Dean Domino for $9.99. He says, I saw Manga Lawyer make a post pointing out how game physics have degraded since Red Faction Guerrilla. Kingmaker's developer replied to it saying, we're bringing it back. Kingmaker. Okay. That sounds interesting. I'll be on the lookout for that. This is what I'm talking about. I think that some developers are like, we got to go back to the craft. We got to get away from all this shit. And that brings me to this article from That Park Place. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 developer admits games at Embracer made him, quote, want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers, end quote. Well, and obviously, the last thing you want to put that in is Warhammer Space Marine, but so let me find the quotes themselves. I don't want to take too much time on this. He, in a comment, he actually made a reply, or he made a comment on an Asmongold YouTube channel, where Asmongold was reacting to Legendary Drops. So Legendary Drops is the one that made the video Space Marine 2 is a reminder of what we lost, which is what I was taught. He's not the only one, but a lot of other guys like Splattercat Gaming and there's a number of other guys. I'm forgetting their names now, but the Synthetic Man, like they've all talked about how Space Marine 2, despite its flaws, one of the things I really like about it is it's just like it feels like a game from the 2000s. It feels like something like Gears of War. It doesn't play like Gears of War, so don't get that twisted. But it feels like something like that, where it's just like I just want to kill a bunch of heretics and Tyranids, and they're just having a blast. It feels like an improvement on the original Space Marine game, which I'm enjoying quite a bit. I'm streaming it on the channel. If you want to check it out, I'll probably stream it tomorrow. And yeah, so essentially they know they're grasping at this thing. It's like this is like an unapologetically manly experience. One of the games they brought up as a comparison was this old game called Army of Two, which I had a lot of fun playing with my friend when we played it together. Or the co-op version, or the co-op Resistance games, with the co-op modes for those. So anyway, Legendary Drops made the video Space Marine 2 as a reminder of what we lost, and Karch made his opinion clear. He wrote this: "Hey man, CEO of Saber here. I love your videos." Talking about Asmongold, okay? So he's the CEO of the developers that made the Warhammer game, the Warhammer Space Marine 2. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had to change to work on something. I think he meant to say chance. To work on something which, by its nature, was old school. I can't even comprehend many of the current games that we play these days. They are too complex and too much of an investment, he added. Next, he shared that he was inspired by Halo. We worked on Halo back in the day, and that game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. This is what we wanted to recapture. Karch then shared his hope that Space Marine 2 and Black Myth Wukong are the start of a revival in the video game industry to get back to fun and immersion. He wrote, quote, "I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong," so he's like giving a shout out to a game by a completely different developer, "are the start of a reversion to a time when games were simply about fun and immersion." Finally, he lamented the state of the industry during his brief time as chief operating officer at Embracer Group. Quote, I spent some time as chief operating officer at Embracer, and I saw games there that made me want to cry with their overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that is what games should be about. It appears that he's accomplished that with Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, despite Warhammer's parent company, Games Workshop, embracing pushing overblown messaging and attempts to impose morals on gamers, which is true. And I think that it's partly because Warhammer is 40,000, but even Warhammer Fantasy are both unapologetically offensive to anybody with the like progressive sensibilities. At least that's what it was built on, because it was just about fun, and these people can't take a joke.
Right.
So yeah, so like I'm not going to read any more of this article. I just wanted to share that because I think that is pretty awesome. That firstly, a CEO is actually like a developer is actually watching content made by gamers and is responding to it and is not just like criticizing or attacking us. So I don't know what are your thoughts on that?
It is a nice change to see some of the stuff. Like there was also those articles that came out when we were doing the GameCon coverage that were saying games need to get back to just being single player affairs and get rid of all this live service bullshit and everything like that. So I think there is a certain acknowledgement of the change that needs to happen, primarily by secondary and third tier kind of like I guess triple A elite aligned companies, like the ones that aren't quite as caught up in the culture of all the I have no decisions to make here and I'm basically just a skin for the corporation. So I think that of the designers, like I've seen some articles that come out like talking about how like trying to blame devs for a lot of this stuff, and there's certainly like an amount of that to kind of say like they followed the orders, they carried out this and that, but a lot of the orders that they were carrying out were under the behest of women that have been platformed in positions to have overseer gatekeeper roles, and and that's what narrative design even actually means. It's not about telling stories, it's about making sure that you have all this cultural identification stuff in there, and like it's about climate change and like these are the things, and then you make your story around the narrative design, right? And so it's like it's double speak that you hear the word narrative design, you're like, oh, so this is about like designing a narrative. It's like, yeah, but in the sense that it's anything but actually telling a story. It's about these are, and whenever you see those whiteboards, like when they did Star Wars and it said dinosaurs, and I think dinosaurs was on there twice for whatever reason I don't understand, but like, what do you think when you think of, and like they do their stupid brainstorming. I was, like you and I know, we were in art school. We know what it's like to be in these scrum kind of settings, and like like they try to think tank everything and do shit via committee, and all these people are like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we pulled this from like it's like, no, just think of some fucking actual real shit, but nobody there has like enough of their own anything, so they just try to like think of what would be cool from the original movie, or like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if we crossed it with this, and it's the most A space J space way approached to games, and it has completely created this dearth of entertainment, and the industry's not going to survive unless it actually does something that's coming from a point of passion and like legitimacy that is being driven by people who actually do care. And that's going to require developers not being kowtowed and like cajoled into being nudged along to go along with this propagandist way of doing things under narrative design kind of concepts. You just have to have punk rock game designers again that are just making their own shit. It doesn't take a lot of people. It just takes people with a lot of like passion.
Well, I mean that is what we are seeing, I think. And I think the developers of Space Marine 2 are more like AA developers, because like Games Workshop tends to they're not massive in the gaming space. Like for example, Vermintide, the Vermintide games and the Darktide games. And I heard very good things about Darktide. I just never played it. I kind of want to though. And Space Hulk. Those are basically AA devs, and I think that AA is like the way to go. You know, like because their experiences are almost like arcade like, and I'm okay with that because I don't need. I mean, look, I'm 51 years old. I'm pretty worldly as it is. I don't need somebody telling me something I already know about the world.
Right.
So I just want to play some games.
Not even half your age.
Yeah,
barely
right.
wipe their own ass and like, you know,
Exactly. I'm good. I understand. All right, I got a super chat from Dean Domino 25. He says, Kingmakers, $4.99. He says, Kingmakers fighting medieval knights with modern weapons, blowing up castles with tanks, etc. Asmongold did a reaction video on it a few months back. Thank you. That sounds really interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll look into
Speaking
it.
of AA stuff, I guess, you know, is that what we would consider Arrowhead at this point in time, considering the infiltration that Sony's had on them?
Well, I
and,
think
like, the way
I
that
think
they kind of
Arrowhead's
compromised the.
So I played the original Helldivers game, which I don't think a lot of people know about. And did you play
I've got it on my I've got
Yeah.
a copy of it. It's top down. It's more like a bullet hell twin stick shooter kind of affair.
Yeah, but it still has the the stratagems and all that, like the second one. I would say that Arrowhead is definitely a AA developer in my opinion. I mean, Sony owning them doesn't make them necessarily AAA. I would argue also that
it does put them under their influence though. And
yes, it does. It does. But I mean that until they are not, because this is the thing, like From Software is also, I think, a AA studio, even though they put out amazing games, but they don't have like the marketing that like EA or Activision or Ubisoft can, put out there. So I would consider them. Maybe I'm wrong. So look, I don't know what it requires to be AAA, but and From Software was also under Sony for a couple of their products. Like Sony owns the rights to Demon's Souls and Bloodborne, but they broke away from them and started doing their own thing. So I think that Broken Arrow or Arrowhead, I'm sorry, what Broken Arrow? Is that the movie with John Travolta?
Broken Arrow,
Broken
John Travolta and Christian,
and Christian Slater.
Oh God.
No.
Slater, yes.
I mean Arrowhead Studios is what I meant to say. So they could potentially create their own thing. I mean, it's not like the only thing they know is, like
we got a Broken Arrow here.
They could literally make like a
loose nuke.
Yeah, like From Software was originally only known for their Armored Core games, and then they went and Kingsfield, which is really old, and then they did Demon's Souls for PlayStation, and it was like a sleeper hit, and then they were like, well, we want to make more of these, but now we want to make it on more platforms, and so what they did is they just made Dark Souls, and they just changed the name of it and then made a new story, and now it doesn't belong to Sony because it was made off like without the same brand. So even if, for example, if Sony owns the rights to Helldivers as like a brand, Arrowhead Studios can still create something a lot like Helldivers, call it something else, and that suddenly Sony doesn't own it anymore.
And put it out.
Yeah, and people will follow it. So like,
we'll get a little bit more into Helldivers here in a second after we finish this, because this is the last thing we've got before we get into
then we're gonna get into like the like health checks and like game trailers. Yeah, we're gonna check mental health checks, and this is a really short one. I just wanted to point out that this is like just another sign of Ubisoft's desperation, as they are starting to like really run out of steam here. Ubisoft runs to New York Times to attack players in defense of Assassin's Creed Shadows. French video game developer Ubisoft
bold strategy.
ran to the New York Times in order to attack its own players in an attempt to salvage its upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game. In a play straight out of Prime Video's playbook for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
I'm glad that they're attacking the players to defend their game when it's like, oh, the players are the ones that you need to get the money from, not the game.
Yes.
So
I mean,
you might want to just consider.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to read the article. I think we know what's going on because this is not new.
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't even know
trash.
if Jonathan Trent understands that every single time, this goes all the way back years and years, but I'll start with Captain Marvel because that's like one that people will remember. When the Captain Marvel movie trailer came out and people were like not interested. They had Hurro all over the trailer, okay?
Oh, I had stars in my eyes because Nine Inch Nails was involved in like there was a Nine Inch Nails shirt that was
Oh, well, yeah. So
I'm just being honest. I had a key jangle that worked on me because like Nine Inch Nails is kind of like my, and but I quickly kind of like, like took stock of the fact that it was like, as much as I like a Nine Inch Nails logo on a shirt, this seems like I was kind of exploited on my emotions and my nostalgia baiting. And yeah, that's when I really kind of was like, oh no, this thing is happening, and it is more than just in games, and it's now in all of media. Because I'd already kind of been talking about it, but that's when like you could really kind of see, oh yeah, no, this is they pulled the cord, and now like it's all coming along with it.
I would say there was I could start with stuff from earlier than Captain Marvel, but I'll use that as my launch point. So here's what they always
jump off
do.
point. Yeah,
my jump off point is what I always do. They release something, put the trailer out there. It gets a negative reaction. People don't like it for whatever reason. Okay, usually it's because they can tell that there's overt like intersectional feminist propaganda that's going to be in the film, and they're responding negatively, like, oh, I don't want that in my superhero movie, or I don't want that in my Star Wars movie, or I don't want that in my Doctor Who show, or whatever it was. Okay, and then they express their discontent with the product, and what these people do is they get the cathedral of journalists in the media and pundits to essentially talk about and promote this product and shame the people as bigots because they're not interested. And it always happens, and it never works out for them almost. Actually, I think that like Captain Marvel made money, but only because of where it was placed in terms of the canon. Like it was between two very, very big movies, and people thought it was going to be related. And that was like obviously a tactic. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter because it didn't age well regardless. And now more people are more aware, and you can tell because the Marvels did like disastrously, it was a disaster. Like it made no money. Madam Web, complete flop, and it's just, that's just the movies. And it did the same thing with games or whatever. Remember Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer had a stand-up comedy special, and Netflix changed their rating system based on that special. Just as Rotten Tomatoes changed their system based on Captain Marvel. So Ubisoft is just doing the same thing. Yeah, they're basically going to the New York Times to attack the gamers, the people who literally like they're supposed to be pandering to. The only people you're supposed to be pandering to are the people who buy your product, which are the gamers themselves, not the woke activists that never buy your shit, but the gamers. Like the modern audience showed up for Dustborn. It just isn't that big.
Well,
the modern audience showed up for Concord. It's just not that big. So go ahead.
Well, the sad thing is a lot of these access media types, their whole want and desire are to be talking heads. That it's not like I want to be recognized for just being honest and actually developing an audience over, a course of time and distance by actually like earning it.
Yeah.
No. Their whole thing is I want to be in a position of power. They are not people who are earning, like you were talking about earlier. There's no leadership, just people in positions of power, and these are warm tongues. These are not stewards. These are the people that corrupt the stewards. And like because I look at a lot of things through the framing of Lord of the Rings. Not to be allegorical about it, but like we do live in a time of darkness and dark rings that have control over us, quite literally token rings, etherical kind of networks and things like that are guided by ideologies that that in of themselves are able to corrupt without even having it be like this large conspiratorial thing that anything's agreed upon. It's just the influence what gets reinforced subtly and subconsciously, and people just they steeped in it. and they were exploited. And so, like, you know, it's hard to not have it rub off on you, and it's even harder when you don't actually take time to acknowledge that this shit's happening. You know,
Yeah.
because even when you know that it's happening, it still gets to you. Because as I just said, I got pulled in by, like, you know, Nine Inch Nails being in the movie, even though I fully have been like complaining about Disney as an entity since the 90s, because I was talking about like this PC woke bullshit that they pull so obviously now when it was more subtly induced back then. Because I've been talking about how Disney is a girls brand for 30 years, you know, and like I know Chris Gore gets the credit for it, and that's perfectly fine, but he's not saying anything that other people haven't said, myself included, previous to that, about how, like, you bought these properties to bring in boys markets in under the umbrella of Disney because you were historically a girls market, and rather than actually expanding your market, you just told boys that you need to be girls and girls get to be the boys. So fuck you, cut your dick off and put this you know, dress on, but now you don't even get to be a princess anymore because we don't believe in princess because that's too feminine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just believe in this weird kind of like third state that's not really a boy or a girl. And like, for as much as everybody, you know, was lauding In and Out too for not being full of woke bullshit, it's only because they cut it out at the very last moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that article's now out there, which, you know, I don't think we should really bring it up because we're getting close to the end of stuff. But yeah, that's where we're at. Like, you know, there's some stuff being done and people want to talk about the successes. Like, they're just trying to figure out a way to recalibrate the attack and make it different. And that's where you see it in the safety and fairness doctrines that prevent you from speaking, you know, on these platforms unless you use the vocabulary that they allow you to use.
Mm-hmm. Well, Assassin's Creed Shadows is due to come out any minute now. So
yep.
I think that
Helldivers has
it's their Hail Mary play, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's look at some sales numbers, and we're going to talk a little bit about Helldivers 2. So I'll start with that. So right now we're doing a mental health check, but there's also a little bit of a, you know, caveat, because today, Helldivers 2, right? Today they launched like a big old patch that they're trying to like right the ship, and I think that it's probably good to let them try. I mean, I think that if we don't allow people an opportunity to, you know, repent and you know, forgive, and I think that we should. So here's what
you can't become the thing that you're trying to like rail against. And if we sit here saying we don't want, you know, purity tests and all this kind of fuckery, then somebody actually acknowledges, all right, I did something wrong, let me try to take account for it. At least give them a shot. You know? Well,
the community manager got fired. The one that that was a while ago. But the problem hasn't been
still there, but the one that was like the real problem. But
the one that was a real problem.
Posted today.
Yeah. So here are the buffs. So one of the main issues people have with Helldivers is that the game was meant to be sort of like a challenging power fantasy. And the power fantasy part of it's been stripped because they kept nerfing everything. So now they're like bringing back a bunch of buffs. And I think it's going to bring some people back. Now, of course, like the issue with the Sony thing and the countries and all that could be an issue nonetheless. But all right. So anyway, buff number 1, flamethrowers getting buffed, damage increased by 33%. The railgun is going to be seeing a massive improvement. These are the weapons. So they're basically doing a bunch of weapon buffs, right? The breaker will now hold more ammunition. And then there's another
before it
was nerfed originally. And then we have the new Warbond, which is called Chemical Agents, which is kind of neat. So the Warbonds are usually like they come with more skins, more weapons, more abilities.
Now there's a chemical
things
sprayer
like that.
that's similar to a flamethrower, but it's like green.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
a particle effect instead.
Yeah. And the Rocket Devastator, which are like some of the enemies, they're going to have like a limited number of shots, whereas before they could just shoot whenever.
Spam the living hell out. Even the warships, everything in the game is now going to actually have an allotment of ammo on both sides. So it's actually a little bit more, you know, of a war-based strategic kind of attack or tactical / strategy battle.
Yeah.
So good for them, you know.
So yeah,
they're,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say they're at least making the attempt, and I think there's a few more guns that they're improving on, because I think
the Eruptor is up. The Eruptor
Mm-hmm.
is a
they fixed the shrapnel on it.
Yeah, they
fixed
the
wrong
shrapnel on it
originally, and
and then the Arc Thrower is going to go back to its former glory.
It's going to be more
500
deadly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it's actually even more deadly. So it's one of those things where it's like, all right, cool. If it's a special use weapon, it should have like that kind of thing where it's like, well, everybody's got to wear arc reactor battle armor so that this thing doesn't kill you. And that's why it's a higher tier weapon. That's what it was always supposed to be. And like, so I mean, like, I'm glad that they're kind of understanding that, you know, work with. You're supposed to be the forward.
Well, there's
you know what? They're you know, like, what was it in Metal Gear? Forward operating. God, I think it was FOB or whatever, like a forward operating bridge or some shit like that. And that's what the game designers are supposed to be in this game. They're not supposed to take on the adversary role of, we got to be against these people that are playing our game. No, like, they're supposed to be the guys that are, you know, like, oh, this is the research and development wing of the Helldivers, and you guys are the foot soldiers. And so like now they're at least kind of getting back in that mindset of understanding that's all you have to do is just give people interesting, fun tech to go blow up targets. And if you want to put more targets in there and give them a little bit more sponge, cool, but at least give me, like, you know, something that actually makes it feel like have like a weighty kind of, you know, like a kill machine. Like, these guns are supposed to be, you know, like what they're advertised to be. Then, you know, and you got Starship Troopers right around the corner with Johnny Rico as the voice right around, ready to come out. So you better get your shit right, otherwise people are going to ban this game entirely, and it's already been, you know, abandoned pretty large.
Yeah, a lot of people have walked away. All right, so the next buff, they're buffing the big 500 kilogram bomb, which is like from the Eagle, you know, the big one, and they made the explosion match the radius. Orbital, now they're adding a new weapon, orbital napalm barrage. Pretty cool, right? So there's a lot that they have added. I guess it's probably good to know. This might change the numbers. We will revisit that afterwards. So if you know, just so you guys know. So what's going on with are people still playing Concord? Let's see. No, they are not. You know, actually, last time
they are finally.
Yeah, they are not.
2 last time.
Yeah, it was like 2. Now it's officially 0. I guess those 2 that were still playing, I thought maybe they were just like they were actually developers that were being punished, and you have to play like it's like hell for them. You have to play this game now. So yeah, Concord is now officially dead, and that is the end of that. And then we have, how's Starfield doing? Starfield is not doing great, but there is that new patch or that new expansion coming out. So maybe some people will come back. I don't know. Maybe, but I am not going to hold my breath. Starfield might be done. Yeah. It is what it is. What are you going to do? How's Dustborn doing? We have 8 people playing this game, still live, by the way. That's bad. That's not good at all.
Yeah. It has not even been a month yet. I mean, what's today's date? Today is
I mean, don't you want to hear about vitiligo 17th. And how Indians are not the same as indigenous people? I mean,
right. It was August 20th this game came out. August 17th or September 17th right now.
Less than a month.
So not even a month.
Not even a month.
And it's in one digit numbers a month from release.
This right here should get her
done.
Yeah, get her done. That's right. How's Black Myth Wukong doing? 330,000. That's kind of that's pretty good. That's still pretty solid. You know, considering again, single player experience, no multiplayer, not a live service game as far as I know. I hear that there are rumors of like some additional content coming out. I don't know if it's an expansion or DLC or what, but I'm hearing rumors about additional content for Black Myth Wukong. So maybe they'll just be like skins. How is Suicide Squad
Do we have
doing?
time?
Ooh, 297. Yeah, we're almost done here. I just wanted to check on that. Suicide Squad on its way out. I understand they're closing the servers later in the year, or maybe they already did. I don't know, but that's not good either.
Hey,
and then
well,
lastly,
since we're big bad misogynists who hate women, after we get done with this one, can we do one more and check on Lollipop Chainsaw just to see?
oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we should do that. That'd be good. And then we got Homeworld 3. Oof. Also, 57 people.
Yeah.
Can you even play the game when it's
At least
like
it's
that?
not 8.
Mm-mm-mm.
I don't. Oh man. Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. This might go the way of Concord.
Let's look up Lollipop Chainsaw. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. 254.
Yeah, I was
so
watching, Cult
not
Classic Age
super
Play
awesome. But go ahead. What was that?
Oh, I was just watching somebody play it yesterday, and like, it actually, it's got good music, good kind of atmosphere. Like, it's like it doesn't try to be anything more than it is, and it's just a good time. So, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a niche game to begin with, and with all the shit that's going on around it, I can't say that I'm terribly too surprised that it's a small number game. But this is also on Steam, and I know its big thing is on PlayStation, I think.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, it's a remake. I don't think that remakes will sell as well as original titles, because a lot of people are like, well, I already own it, or it kind of flies under the radar. Like, it wasn't.
Right.
It's not like when they remade Resident Evil 2. That was like a huge thing, right?
Yep.
But this is like slightly
but, I mean,
more
a 78.97 on the ratings.
It's a cult hit.
I thought it was supposed to be a terrible game.
It's still good.
Right? Remember,
sure.
It was supposed to be a 5.
Yeah, IGN gave it a 5.
That's what IGN was saying. It's not even worth.
And they gave
and
Concord
they gave it a 5
like a
when
7.
it came out originally.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they didn't want to
check
review it.
again.
They didn't want to review it. So no.
Yeah.
All right, and I think that's it for the health checks. If you guys think of something that you want me to see the sales on, go ahead. This is a game trailer that you shared with me. Legends of Boom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any like game trailers to show off this time around, but
yeah, no, this is coming out early October, hopefully.
So this is
I think the guys that are working on it are kind of in contact with me.
Yeah, this is a fast-paced hybrid of card and real-time strategy. So it's a card game and it's a strategy game, I guess. So let's take a look at this.
With Foulmouth Puppets doing the commentary.
Yeah.
Hi everybody, Flip Rimrod here, and welcome to the War Room, where opponents from across the universe play in the strategy game Legends of Boom. Well, I sit here about to lose my mind trying to figure out my username for my FanFool betting app. Well, because I forgot my password, and I hit forgot password. Now it's asking me for my username. Username should be my, just my email, right? Right? Nope, doesn't work. Nope, fuck me. So, now I'll just try my name. Flip. Nope, mother. Now with no space, first and last name, right? Flip Rimrod, makes sense. Not my email, not my first name, first and last together, no space, right? Nope. Well, fuck me twice. And you know what really fucking burns my balls? Why does it say either your username or your password is wrong? Well, fuck you, AI, you piece of shit. Why not just fucking tell me you're so fucking smart which one is wrong, or give me a fucking clue as to how and where I'm fucking up so I have a fucking chance at this fucking game? Legends of Boom starts right now. And from now on, all my usernames are gonna be fuck me, and my passwords are gonna be hashtag fuck you, AI. Hello, this on, Carol? What? Would it kill you to laugh?
So this is what the game looks like, I guess. So I'll let this play.
Yeah.
One of my jokes. Smile. Nope. Oh, because you've heard it 1,000 times. It's not funny. Well, I've seen your sneakers 1,000 times, and I still think they're funny. Oh, come on, Carol, I didn't mean it. Don't be a party pooper. You don't have this kid. Don't you run and tell Gene and Peanut. My nuts are already in a vice with them. Come on, you don't have ankles. You got beautiful.
I don't think.
Being
it's
that
I
it's
think
a card game, there isn't a lot to look at.
Early access and yeah. And I think that it's not quite as polished as some of the other stuff we've looked at recently, but I was just kind of like, I saw this. The guys on the Jamcast server, I think, are connected to this, and they were talking to me about some other stuff they've got going
Oh, they
on
invited
in
me to the
background.
Jamcast. Yeah, there's a game jam coming up. I'm not going to be in town when it starts, but yeah, I might be able to participate later.
Well, they do more than just like this is like a year-round thing. They got like they are talking to me about possibly doing like a judge role, like not on this current one, but like the next one. And there's like this whole thing that's going on. They're kind of getting the runaround by .h or itch.io for some really interesting stuff that I'm in the conversation with them, trying to find the right place to bring it out and kind of give them a little bit of a platform to speak about kind of some stuff, because they're conservative gamers. And so like they sent me this and I kind of was like, all right, I can see like, this is I'm not saying like this is like the best game that we've had on here. It seems like it's kind of like, remember what was that game that they put, or that movie they put out that was supposed to be from, I think that one was from The Blaze, that or was it also from Daily Wire that
are you talking about the well, just
dudes,
what is it about?
The basketball game. The basketball.
Oh, that's
game,
Lady Ballers. Yeah, that
like,
was
Lady Ballers. Yeah. And so that I think that's kind of where I'm kind of getting a feel for this, where it's kind of like, it's almost like it's a little too kind of like in the paint on, like the foul mouth puppet. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's kind of like, what else we got here? And so, like you were saying, it's kind of some simple mechanics, it seems like, but this might also be like a first run of people that are just kind of like, getting into the industry and trying to like explore their creativity and their passion. So, I don't think everything that we're going to put on here is going to necessarily be like, like the most awesome, amazing thing ever, but it's not about like that. It's about actually appreciating people that are trying to do stuff that's coming from a point of, like artistic integrity and things like that. So, it's, I mean, it's something that like, I'm willing to kind of like give it a little bit more room to kind of grow and see what it actually is, but I'm not necessarily as sold on some of the other stuff that we've played before, but that's just because I'm not.
Yeah,
really
I mean, like some people like some people are really into the card battle games. That's fine for them. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah. If any of you guys are into any of that, let us know in the comments if that interests you. So I got a super chat from Dean Domino. This will be the last thing, because I know we got to end it here. And he gave us $4.99. Thank you, Dean. And says, if you've got time, how about game trailers for Inera and Might Rhea? I hope I'm not butchering that pronunciation. I got him up right now. Let's take a look. So this is Inera official reveal trailer.
Nice.
Your vitals have flatlined. Attempting resuscitation now.
Okay. Unreal Engine. I'm getting cyberpunk vibes already, which is fine by me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now this looks like something really cool to end on.
Yeah.
So I thank the chat for like,
Check the body. Yes, sir. We're in the clear. No signs of any alive.
I like the music.
Oh, so okay, I'm getting the Ninja Gaiden vibes from this, Metal Gear Rising.
A little bit of Ghost, Tokyo Ghost, but like it's all sorts of interesting stuff.
Oh, dude, this is totally just Metal Gear Rising 2. That's all it is, which is fine by me, but
nothing wrong with that.
No. Yeah, it definitely has a Ninja Gaiden feel too.
Amped up music, high energy. Good.
Yeah. Well,
wide open space for battle. Camera's not like too claustrophobic or anything like that.
I will murder everyone. Dropship to disposal team. Status report.
Got a very anime kind of feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
and it at its core
I
is
like
a
it.
third-person hack
I
and
like it a
slash
lot.
game set in future Japan.
All right. So that's my Anera. That's Anera. Pretty interesting. We'll keep an eye on the development of it. It looks like it's still. I mean, it's a reveal trailer, but it does look a little. I don't know, like Well, it doesn't look like a AAA game, but it does look like a fun game.
No.
So that's probably what really matters.
Definitely.
So, all right, last trailer. This is
I'm glad to
Might
have that on the
Rhea.
radar.
Yeah. This is Might Rhea. I'm already getting waifu vibes, which I'm okay with. So let's look. This is just based on this. I haven't watched this yet. So let's take a look at this one. Wait, this looks familiar. I may have seen this before, but I'm not sure.
I like how this kind of like it reminds me in some ways kind of like when Dragon Ball came out on PS3.
Oh, you mean like,
And
Tenkaichi, Dragon Ball Tenkaichi?
I think so. The one where it was like it actually kind of felt like more of a cartoon. One of the episodes, the way that it was built, and like the battles kind of like came in and out of like interesting camera shots. And, I don't know, this looks really good. This looks really interesting. Like an interactive anime.
Yeah, I mean, it's got my attention. Yeah, it's got my attention. I'll wait until I learn more about what it is, but I mean, I'm down for stuff like that. I like the over the top action and whatnot. So, it looks like Gravity Rush a bit. Yeah, kind of does remind me of that a little. But I can tell it's meant to be like more over the top, like fighting schoolgirls, giant robots. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. So anyway, thank you for the recommendation, Zine Domino. Appreciate that. Well, I'll go ahead and mark them on Steam or something and see what they look like as things go on. But anyway, with all that said, I think we got to end the show here. We're a little over time, so yeah. Would you have any final thoughts before I wrap it up?
Like I said, with you traveling, if anybody wants to get in contact with me about possibly doing the show with me while you're gone, rather than just taking an extended break, I'm be interested in that. Other than that, look for me to be on this Sunday. I'll be on Ryan Roger Thay's reality-based extreme. I think I might actually be a full-time panelist there now, like my second week in a row. So,
nice.
Yeah, we'll just look for me on the Discord. Otherwise, I'll drop the link in the chat one more time before we go. And other than that, I'd say be awesome as always, and have safe travels ahead, and a wonderful week as we go.
All right. Well, thanks guys for coming on the show. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Please hit the bell for notifications so that you know when our streams go live and when I do my game streams. Tomorrow I will probably be streaming either Space Marine 1 or #Blood, and on the following day I'll try to stream the game that I didn't stream tomorrow. So please come hang out with us. It's always fun to have people to spend time with. To me, gaming is a social thing, and that's how I like to engage in it. So leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture, and we'll talk to you all in the next video. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse, Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.